I'm just outside the village of Mapledurwell, east of Basingstoke, and I'm on the Greywell Road, heading towards Greywell at the moment, synonymous with the Basingstoke Canal. However, this explorer's got nothing to do with the Basingstoke Canal, which can be found, or the remains of it, just over there. What I've found here is not an abandoned canal, but an abandoned road.
Welcome to another explore.
So if you look down here, we've got a wonderful little lake. I don't know what it was for, but I think it was possibly watercress. You can see all the water bubbling out of it. But right next to it, this, believe it or not, even though it's very overgrown, used to be a road. And if you look here, you've got the old, I'm assuming they're from 1950s, 60s, maybe even earlier, reflectors. And that was obviously because we had the water here, and at night it would reflect the car's headlights and hopefully stop them falling into the water. Well, if you look just down here, you can see, I don't know whether that's original tarmac or not, possibly. But if we walk a bit up here, we see another one of these reflectors, this one completely covered in ivy, quite effective. And then there's another one. So you've got to ask, why did this road close? Well, you might have heard the reason already. Well, let's climb up this slope and see what we can see. And as we climb the slope, look, there's another reflector half buried. So obviously that was at ground level. And there's another one there through the trees. So I think this road was rising slightly, but not as much as this. But if we get to the top of the slope, there is the reason for the closure. The M3 motorway. Look at that reflector just sticking out of the ground, serving no purpose today. I wonder if they even reflect still. Interesting to note that the reflectors on this side are white and the reflectors on the other side are red. So what does that mean?
So what information can be found regarding these posts? Well, as usual, there was next to nothing to be found until I came across this excerpt regarding two similar posts found in Enfield in Greater London. And I'll read it out, and it says, roadside posts painted with broad horizontal black and white bands and bearing small circular reflectors set in larger disc at the top, officially termed safety posts and discs, came into use to mark the edge of the carriageway in hazardous locations or to warn of other obstructions near the edge of the road in the early part of the 20th century. Red reflectors were used on the near side of the road, whilst white were used on the off side. So regarding the words in that text, our posts certainly fit the bill with the red and black horizontal bands and the disc on the top containing a number of circular reflectors. I'm not quite sure because it said red on the offside and white reflectors on the on side. Well, ours are on both exactly, they're just on opposite sides of the post, so I'm not quite sure how that corresponds. The age of the post, well, that said, they came into use in the beginning of the 20th century. I'd love to think that our posts here were 100 years old. They may be, but I don't think they are. But I don't think it's unfeasible to think that they're pushing 70 years old. That would probably date them in the 1950s, maybe even older, into the 40s. So, and they certainly fit the bill of a hazardous area. So that little issue would seem to be cleared up. So let's move on and see what else we can discover.
There you go, look, is that a piece of, I think that's a piece of gravel or tarmac. So to find out when this road closed, I think the best thing to do is to refer to the maps.
So here we are again on the National Library of Scotland mapping site. Now, on our modern view, you can clearly see the M3 motorway running from left to right or right to left. Now, I have come from this direction, so Basingstoke is over here, and I've come down here. This is Greywell Lane, or Greywell Road, I should say. And our site is in this area here. So I'll walk down here, and then our road takes a junction. There's not a great deal to see on this map, but I'm just trying to point out exactly where we are on the modern map. And our road would have taken a course through these trees, across that field, over the motorway, through this area here, and out here, like that. So let's have a look. Let's go back in time to the 1897 map. So the 1897 map makes things a lot clearer. We've still got our Greywell Road here. Obviously the M3 motorway hasn't been built and won't be for the next probably in the next 73 or 4 years. Now here's our lake. Do you remember the lake that was to our left? That's here, and as you can see, very, very clearly marked our road. I can walk to about this point here, so that's all that's left today. And then this bit here is all completely lost. This is where the motorway is, probably up to about here, I'd say. And we can get a clearer view of that if we look on something called LiDAR. Okay, so this is our LiDAR map. LiDAR stands for light detection and ranging. It's a kind of a radar which scans out most of the features on the ground, the smaller features, and it allows the bigger features to be picked out quite easily. Now here is Greywell Road. You can still see that quite clearly, and our road is just visible. You see it there going off there where it wasn't visible before. So the LiDAR tends to more or less go straight through all the undergrowth, ignores the undergrowth, ignores the trees, and it picks out features in the land. And there we can see our road quite clearly. Here is the lake, and it also shows that there's a bit of a ridge there, which is probably why you had the warning reflector bollards there. Now, with regards to when the road closed, this is a map dated 1962, and the road clearly still exists at that point. The M3 here opened in 1971, so I think it's obvious that it was closed when construction began some 51 years ago, which incidentally could easily put the bollards in the 70 to 80 year old bracket.
This is the M3. I'm having to raise my voice to be heard. But our road would have come out before the motorway was built, around where that blue sign is, and it would have crossed over where the motorway is now and into here where there's a bit of a builder's yard and a car park. Now the rough bit of the road still exists, and it would have come through the trees where those cars are, and then it would have carried on this way, and it would have met up with the road that I'm walking on as we move towards the village of Andwell. So I've crossed over the motorway. Thankfully I've got rid of most of the noise, and I'm now coming into the village of Andwell. And what we have here is the other end of our road. So Mapledurwell is over there through the trees on the other side of the motorway. It was a very short road, it was only 100 yards maximum. Unfortunately we can't get into there today because it's private property, but this part of the road still exists.